The renewal of the African National Congress cannot be accomplished in a year or 2 or 3.
An end to vote buying at elective conferences, and a stricter step-aside ruling for those accused of corruption. These are just some of the party policy changes the African National Congress is mulling over at its current General Council in Boksburg. As our political reporter Soyiso Maliti debuts on The Lead, the ANC takes a hard look in the mirror.
So, Fikile Mbalula on the first day, he tabled a National Executive Committee midterm review, which was 297 pages long, where he speaks of Free State, the province, having only 2 branches that are in good standing. So in less political ANC parlance, that means the ANC is likely to struggle in that province at the municipal elections if the branches continue being found wanted. And another province that is struggling is KZN.
Later, the ANC's chief Albert Luthuli carved his name on a Nobel Peace Prize with On This Day in South African History, our regular segment heard at the end of the show.
To know when the next episode drops, hit the like, follow and subscribe buttons on our YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcast channels.
Keen to advertise on The Lead or perhaps share anything on top of your mind in regards to any of the topics we've covered over the last couple of weeks and months, feel free to drop us a mail at thelead@n24.com. My name's Graeme Raubenheimer, this is The Lead, and this is the South African story. News 24 politics reporter Soyiso Maliti joins me on the line now from Boksburg. Soyiso, unjani?
Yaphila kunjani, Graeme? How are you, and I hope our readers are doing fine.
Yes, absolutely. So glad that you can join us for your debut edition of The Lead. I think it's your first one, Soyiso, is that right?
Indeed, it is, and I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. How well attended is the ANC 5th National General Council? It's not as if the ANC hosts these, in particular the NGC, every year. Are we seeing thousands of ANC members that have pitched up?
So there are about 1,800 delegates for this council. Not any delegate of the ANC can come. There's a process that they use to select, so that's why the ANC has a high number of members but lower number of delegates that are here. So yeah, there are 1,800 people here at this hotel.
I've seen, in terms of the reports, lots of singing, but also very serious in the closed-door meetings about the state and future of the party as we know it, right? It's a reality check.
Indeed, it's a reality check for the party leaders and rank and file. If you just grab any single leader, they will tell you that the party finds itself at a crossroads, and how they want to overcome this is by actually reviewing some of the policies that they've discussed here. And for that, they are having commissions today as we speak.
Right. Let's get into some of the party policy proposals that have been brought forward. Let's discuss the ANC Veterans League's choice to essentially do away with vote buying. I know that's something that's been on the agenda for quite a long time. It's been an idea that's been mulled over consistently. This essentially would give every single delegate at the upcoming 2027 elective conference one vote. Every single member will get one vote to elect who can run the ANC in future, as opposed to one delegate representing all of the branches. Do I have that correctly?
Absolutely. So previously, the ANC in national conferences would go into their national conferences knowing that a province brings a certain number of votes. But those individuals, the individual delegates, don't vote on the slate. It is the leaders that vote themselves. So, for example, if a Paul Mashatile approaches an Oscar Mabuyane, Paul Mashatile knows plus minus how many votes he expects. But now the ANC wants to change this policy to ensure that every single delegate votes for themselves. So there's also some of the leaders are saying this also just is able to cut out the money factor, the money politics in the ANC, because some of these conferences have been marred by what others perceive as corruption, in that delegates are bought.
Yeah. At the same time, of course, we know that the constitution was previously changed within the ANC regards to the contentious step-aside rule. And there have been concerns that this hasn't been applied more rigorously or universally, in a sense that, you know, if somebody's accused of corruption, they would also have to step aside from their public office position, like a member of parliament, etc. What are we hearing in terms of changing that?
Absolutely. Before I answer that, I need to just make one example. So a little known fact is that suspended police minister Senzo Mchunu, who's pals with shady character Brown Mokhotsi and who has links with Kat Matlala, is still an MP, believe it or not. He sits in the same parliament that is investigating allegations of the capture of the police, which places him at the front and center. So now the veterans are calling on the step aside. They want it to be avoided. They want this issue to be avoided, that you have some leaders who step aside in some positions. For example, Senzo Mchunu, who's also an NEC member, stepped aside only from his NEC role, but did not step aside as an MP. The veterans want leaders who find themselves in Mchunu's position to, quote unquote, gracefully vacate parliament. So Ramaphosa has said that he wants leaders to gracefully vacate positions if they are found wanting on the step-aside policy. So it's interesting because Mchunu is a strong ally of President Cyril Ramaphosa, but he still remains in parliament. I'll give you another example. Ramaphosa led the charge to completely remove his nemesis, former health minister Zweli Mkhize, from that position, if you recall, during the digital vibe scandal. He was removed immediately, but Mchunu remains as an MP.
Yeah, 100%. What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander, Soyiso.
Exactly.
Look, there's been writing on the wall for some time now about the state of the ANC in certain provinces. What has the SG, Fikile Mbalula, said about, the branches that find themselves in good standing in these various provinces? We know, for example, within the Eastern Cape, it's a good example of where the ANC had huge support for the longest time. But even Oscar Mabuyane has come out in the last couple of months and said, look, the branches are not as in good standing or as healthy as what they used to be, and there are concerns about the level of support that they continue to enjoy there.
So Fikile Mbalula, on the first day we were here on Monday, he tabled a National Executive Committee midterm review, which was 297 pages long, where he speaks of Free State, the province, having only 2 branches that are in good standing. So in less political ANC parlance, that means the ANC is likely to struggle in that province at the municipal elections if the branches continue being found wanted. And another province that is struggling is KZN. And yesterday I spoke to ANC Deputy Secretary General Nomvuya Mokonyane, and she admitted that their plan isn't working. The plan of sending a PTT, a 66-member provincial task team, to the province to sort of reinvigorate the branches hasn't worked so far. So they're going to try to come up with another plan. And before I spoke to her, the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengi Bengu, had a press briefing where she was saying they need to send reinforcements to KZN. Their ultimate goal is to get the branches working again. Because if the branches are not working, the ANC fails in elections. And the most perfect example of this was the May 2024 general election, where the ANC political support diminished from 54% to about 17%.
The talks that led up, or the murmurations or the rumors that came before the NGC, so you saw, about who may or may not push to succeed President Cyril Ramaphosa at the elective conference in 2027. Have those been entertained at the NGC itself? And could you sum up, who was saying what?
So, amid all of these rumors, nothing is rooted in fact at the moment. You just see leaders jostling for media space to advance their political communication. So they want their names to be among the debate, but the ANC hasn't even opened that floor yet. For example, if you've attended ANC conferences and events, you are unlikely to see Parliament Speaker Tokoti Diza engaging with journalists on political party matters. At least I haven't been to those conferences until today. For the first time, I saw her speak to journalists, go to the SABC, not only speak to the SABC and speak to other journalists. Ultimately, the question is going to be, are you running for office? Because her name's being punted. Allegations or rumors, should we say, that President Thabo Mbeki or President Cyril Ramaphosa, Tokoti Diza is one of those people that they prefer in the succession battle. But for now, it's all of these leaders are saying, are advancing a common message, saying, no, we will wait for the branches to elect us. I spoke to Nomvula Mokonyane yesterday, and she told us that she has been approached by individuals. Let's put a quote unquote on that. She's been approached by individuals. And then she says in the same breath that she doesn't serve individuals. She serves branches. So she will wait for branches. So that's a common message among ANC leaders. In the commissions, they are not discussing these. They are discussing policies. But then they're coming outside of those closed commissions because they happen behind closed doors, and then they're coming to us to basically advance their political communications, as I've said. And if your name is ringing in the media space, that works for your candidates in the ANC, I suppose.
Yes, of course, that Sunday Times report that Tokoti Diza, the National Assembly Speaker, is enjoying some backing from President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as Graeme Raubenheimer in regards to possibly succeeding Cyril Ramaphosa. Of course, everybody wants a turn at this point, whilst many of its critics feel like the ANC is kind of in its dying days at the moment. Nomvula had a lot to say, Soyiso, about the fact that the ANC won't be giving any sideline commentary when it comes to the Madlanga Commission.
Yes, absolutely. ANC leaders have been sidestepping that topic because they're saying it takes away from the work they're doing. It takes away from it feeds attention into that matter more than the commission work they're supposed to be doing today.
Right. Okay, and then of course everything at the NGC got off on a bit of a bad footing with a handful of ANC staffers also up in arms, saying that they haven't been paid their salaries, but the SG in Bulula has come out on record and denied this, claiming that he hasn't even been paid. Do I have that correctly?
That is what Fikile Mbalula says. So it depends on who you're asking in the situation. And I've been covering the ANC for a really long time now. And I've found that if a national leader says one thing that contradicts what a branch or staff member says that affects them particularly, you best believe the rank and file. For example, by 10 p.m. last night, when we finished working, we News24 bumped into a couple of staffers, and they were saying they were not paid. They have not been paid yet. Some have been paid. They admitted that some have been paid. And 4 or 5 hours before that, ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bengu addressed us and had this wry smile on her when the question was asked that whether the employees have been paid. She turned around, looked to her right, the staffers, and said, I hope you guys can ask that question. She was so confident. And they nodded. But some looked nervous in nodding. So that is why we approached some staffers later on, and it turned out that is not entirely true, that every staff member has been paid.
Sure. Two final things just to end off, so I know you've got to get to the SG's next briefing. Graeme Raubenheimer, he says he's too old by 2027. He's not going to run for anything.
That's correct. So almost immediately after his election as chairperson in the previous elective conference, Graeme Raubenheimer did indicate that he is too old to run again. And you must bear in mind, Graeme, that he has been in the hierarchy of the ANC since 2007. That makes it almost 2 decades of running the ANC. So, and he's older than 70 years old. He has said it himself that he needs to vacate office for a younger blood to run office.
What else can we expect at the NGC? When is everything being wrapped up? So when can we expect the final speeches?
So the final speeches are on Thursday night. Today, the ANC leaders and delegates are in commissions discussing health issues. For example, the NHI issue could come out of there. There could be new policy proposals for all you know. The Bella Act could be discussed in the Education Commission. They're also discussing the local government in the Local Government Commission. But we wrap up the NGC tomorrow afternoon.
Perfect. Soyiso Nkosakakula, I really appreciate your time on the lead today, and I look forward to the next couple of reports coming up from our award-winning News 24 team there in Boksburg. Danko, chat again soon.
Thank you very much, Graeme.
You're listening to the latest edition of The Lead on News 24 with Graeme Raubenheimer. If you've got an opinion on what you've heard so far, drop us a short voice note on our WhatsApp hotline. That's 072-562-3179. Looking for a smarter weekend scroll? The Weekender is your ultimate guide to bold stories, sharp opinion, and a fresh lens on life in Mzansi. From exclusive interviews and powerful essays to wine picks, playlists, and pop culture gems, it's your perfect weekend read all in one place, landing every Saturday on News 24. And finally,
ending off now with On This Day in South African History. That's the 10th of December 1961, while Chief Albert Luthuli, President General of the then banned ANC, became the very first black African to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for his steadfast commitment to non-violent resistance against apartheid. Though heavily restricted by the state at the time, he was granted special permission to travel to Oslo to accept this honor. Now, in his speech, he dedicated the award to the sacrifices made by the people of all races in South Africa. More than 60 years later, a second historic moment reshaped Luthuli's legacy just this year when the KwaZulu-Natal High Court overturned the apartheid-era inquest into his 1967 death, rejecting the long-held lie that Luthuli was struck by a goods train because he was quote-unquote half-blind and deaf. Judge Nompumelelo Khadebe ruled instead that Luthuli was assassinated in a well-orchestrated operation led by apartheid forces. For the Luthuli family, the judgment had shattered a 6-decade falsehood and opened the door to restorative justice and possible reparations here. The rulings also highlighted the disappearance of eyewitness Mbemu Mnyandu, whose testimony was apparently or allegedly suppressed at the time. The ANC, which hails Luthuli as one of its greatest leaders, welcomed the decision earlier this year and committed to ensuring the historical record reflects that he was murdered by the apartheid regime. With our minds half on the beaches, South Africa, the lead plods on, as so does the news cycle at this end of year. Expect rolling coverage from this very podcast, one more edition dropping this week, and then next week, Monday to Thursday, expect fresh editions there, keeping in with the developments of the week. But then after that, we've got 2 weeks of solid end-of-year holiday wrap content. We're going to be discussing some of the biggest stories of the year and bringing those to you with the various reporters. And of course, playing the game. You may have heard it in yesterday's edition with News 24 Editor-in-Chief Adrian Basson. We're calling it Roby's Round Robin, 10 carefully picked questions that we will be putting to some of our sharpest minds here at News 24, so look out for that. Until then, my name's Graeme Raubenheimer, and so long as there's trusted news first, we'll always have the lead.